This broadcast is available on ESPN HD. It's an orange out in Knoxville, and one of the greatest to ever play in the SEC leads his alma mater down onto the court at Thompson-Boling Arena. The reason for the big crowd, an invasion of blue from Lexington, as the second oldest rivalry in the league gears up one more time in a key SEC clash on Super Tuesday. It is Super Tuesday, presented by Lexus, and a big crowd on hand in Knoxville, Tennessee, at Thompson-Boling Arena. It's the number 18 Kentucky Wildcats getting ready to take on the Volunteers of Tennessee on their home floor. You take a look at the SEC East standings. How important is this game? Well, Kentucky's coming off an emotional loss to Florida the other day. Tennessee trying to move into the middle of the pack. Everybody wants that number 2 spot. Nobody's going to catch Florida, but if you're number 2, you get a first day bye in the SEC tournament. So all the games are big in the next 2.5 weeks. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler with Jimmy Dykes. Jimmy, it comes down to this. Tennessee probably played their best basketball of the year in throttling Vanderbilt over the weekend, and Kentucky, as hard as they played, couldn't hang with the number 1 team in the country and lost by 3.
You know what? Both these teams have question marks. The question mark is not, are they NCAA tournament worthy? If the selection committee met tonight, these two teams would be in. Right. Their resume would back it up. The question for Kentucky, do they have a Florida hangover? You cannot allow Kentucky to beat you twice in a 4-day period. If you're Tennessee, their question mark is, how much momentum can they get back with Chris Lofton on the floor? They're an NCAA tournament team. They want to keep that momentum going down the track tonight with a win over Kentucky.
Well, whenever Chris Lofton's on the floor, he's part of our Star Watch along with Randolph Morris of Kentucky.
Well, Randolph Morris, on the road, you've got to have a guy you can throw the ball to in the low block. He's got to get 15 to 20 points tonight, in my opinion. And Chris Lofton, not 100%, but still a big shot specialist, especially on this floor.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups on the left side for Tubby Smith's Wildcats. Chris Lofton and the Smiths, Jawan and Ramar in the backcourt for Bruce Pearl. Dane Bradshaw, Mr. Do-Everything, plays forward. Wayne Chisholm, the freshman's played very well as of late. He's up front. Big crowd. They're fired up. They want to see if the Volunteers can keep their string alive. They've won 2 straight, 3 of their last 4. Tom Lopes throws it in the air, and here we go. Ed Corbett and Mike Kitts are other 2 officials. And it's Bradshaw going to the rack immediately, and Randolph Morris lost the rebound out of bounds.
You know what? Dane Bradshaw is maybe as good there is in college basketball of stealing the opening tip. That time he kind of baited the tip to come his way. Boom, slipped right in and got it.
Now he's going to inbound it on the baseline, or try to. Chris Lofton has not been able to touch it yet. Joe Crawford is right in his hip pocket.
There's a Tennessee flex offense across the baseline. The 2 guards pretty much stay stationary up top early.
Here's Lofton. He looks at the shot clock on the other end. It has 15 on the opening possession for the Volunteers. Everybody in the crowd standing, waiting for that first basket to drop. 7 on the shot clock. Ramar Smith pulls up, gets it to Bradshaw for 3. Off the front of the iron, and the rebound off to Crawford.
Well, Bradshaw only shooting about 28% from the field since that shoulder injury. I know the MRI says there's nothing wrong. His shooting numbers maybe tell you something different.
Here's Derek Jasper, the freshman. At the point, drops it off Bradley. The extra give to Crawford, and the easy basket for Kentucky for openers.
Boy, and how do you fight pressure? You do it with backdoor cuts just like Kentucky did, with or without the basketball. You relieve that pressure with a gut cut to the heart of the defense. 2 easy points.
Chisholm, 3. And out of bounds in front of us. We'll give it back to Tennessee. Chisholm did that same thing against Vanderbilt over the weekend, and before Vandy could get a timeout call, it was 13-0. Tubby Smith, his 10th year at Kentucky. Bruce Pearl in his 2nd season, and has brought a lot of excitement into what has been women's basketball excitement territory, and now he's got it going for the men. Tennessee turns it over.
Hard to back cut against Kentucky because they are a conservative, tough man-to-man defense. They're not a gamble-type defense. You can back cut against gambling. You can't back cut against conservative.
Bobby Perry, offensive foul, digging his shoulder into Dane Bradshaw. There's Bruce Pearl in his 2nd year. Last year, 22-8, 12-4, and 1 the SEC East. Right now they're looking up at Florida and Kentucky and Vandy and Georgia. And they want to move into the middle of that pack. Here's Lofton going behind the back, and he lost it. Trying to create something himself, and he turns it over.
He's not the creator, though, with the explosiveness because of the bad ankle that he was before the injury. You want to make Lofton now be stuff off of the bounce.
Crawford just inside the three-point line, and Joe's got the opening 2 baskets for Kentucky.
Brad, he's a rhythm guy into his three-point shot. When he's up top bouncing that thing a couple of times, he's trying to rhythm himself into a jump shot. You've got to know that.
Great look down at Chisholm. Bradshaw looked one way, threw the pass the other. Can't do it much better than that. 5-4 Tennessee.
You see Tennessee, after every make so far in this game, quickly coming with full court pressure. They will have different looks throughout the 40 minutes.
Morris trying to work for a hook shot, and he's going to be fouled. Foul will be on Bradshaw.
Boy, just a breakdown defensively for Kentucky in defense. Chisholm steps out and sets a screen and then just gets lost around the rim and does the right thing, runs to the front of the rim, and that's an easy pass for Bradshaw, who's a forward playing the point.
It's not a good thing defensively when our camera only catches him in the lane and nobody else. It's a great picture. It's just not great defense. Randolph Morris steps to the free throw line.
Well, I want us to watch throughout this ball game how many times Randolph Morris posts up on the left side of the lane. The entire second half against Florida the other night, he never went to the right side of the lane. He lives on that left side. You've got to know that if you're Tennessee and scheme for it.
He got 1 of 2. Coming off an 18.9 rebound game in that 64-61 loss to Florida on our Saturday primetime.
Kentucky wants to deny any penetrating pass, Brad. They will not deny passes that are non-penetrating. That's another sign of a conservative man-to-man defense.
Lofton trying to shake Crawford, and he does, and he's got the layup. Great look by Chisholm.
Because Lofton is such a three-point threat shot, they get out and really overplay him and try to deny him, and he reads the defense, gets the hard gut cut to the rim.
Crawford had done such a fine job of keeping the ball out of his hands, and Chris showing a little bit of explosiveness, just getting by Crawford, who's a good defender on that one.
Morris back on that left block, and that is his comfort zone.
And now he tries to work baseline up and under. That's not an easy move. Slipped a little bit and kissed it off. The glass were tied for the second time.
He is so much more confident and productive on that side of the lane.
And a whistle and a foul. Heather Cox, third member of our team, with more on Chris Lofton and his recovery.
Chris did miss 4 games with that bad ankle, and he says he's only about 80%, but it would take a lot more than a sore ankle to keep him off the floor tonight. Lofton grew up just an hour's drive from Lexington and was named Kentucky's Mr. Basketball, but the Wildcats didn't have room on their roster, so he crossed state lines, and it's been their worst nightmare ever since, averaging 18 a game against them, 31 a year ago, and has vowed to make up for lost time tonight, guys.
Yeah, he's one of 3 Mr. Kentucky basketballs that have played for Tennessee. Here's a look at him finally getting a break on Crawford to the basket.
See how they get out and overplay him, because again, his reference point in this ball game is as a three-point big shot shooter. So Kentucky's going to chase him on the perimeter. He's going to have to get some of those back cuts tonight to relieve the pressure.
Third turnover suffered by Tennessee. We're tied at 7 as we're under 16 minutes in the first half. Outside jumper won't go. Rebound comes off Jawan Smith.
You know, Kentucky actually took Rajon Rondo late that year in the recruiting process instead of Chris Lofton.
Outside, Childress can't get it. Inside, Ramar Smith would like to have another chance. He does, and comes up short. And Morris goes down, and they're going to call traveling. Looked like he might have gotten tangled up with Childress, but I guess not. So 4.5 minutes in, we're right about where we started. Kentucky 7, Tennessee 7.
Is presented by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection, and in part by Jared the Galleria of Jewelry. You're sure to find the perfect Valentine's gift at Jared the Galleria of Jewelry.
Speaking of a Galleria, up here in the concourse, the numbers of two of the greatest to ever play here back in the mid-70s, Bernard King, Ernie Grunfeld. And Bernard is here tonight, and he will be honored at halftime. The 6th all-time leading scorer in SEC history, only played 3 years, almost scored 2,000. 3-time SEC Player of the Year. And tonight, his jersey is unveiled in the rafters at halftime. It's exciting for us to be part of that. And we saw him before the ball game outside Thompson Bowling Arena, and then you saw him in our open leading the team down through the crowd. And boy, did that get a spark from this big crowd on hand tonight. And Ernie Grunfeld, part of the festivities. The Ernie and Bernie Show. A couple of guys that came down from New York and just lit up Tennessee and lit up the SEC back in 75 through 77, roughly right in there.
Ernie Grunfeld very close to Bruce Pearl. Bruce was at the UW Milwaukee. How about this? Bruce Pearl's daughter was taken to the senior prom by Ernie Grunfeld's son.
Oh boy,
that's pretty close.
That's a nugget right there, Jimmy.
Lob
underneath. Perfect
three-pointer. That should be a three-pointer if he didn't touch it.
I think he touched it. I think we'll give it to Tab, although I'm not 100% sure. I think Bruce Pearl's saying the same thing you are, Jimmy, that went in.
Being that official's there big time right now to check that.
Right now it's just an alley-oop to Tab the way they have it. Here's a pick and roll and a nice pass inside to Orbjut. And Orbjut off the dish from Crawford. Let's take a look at this again.
With the hands. Oh, that's hard to tell. It was going to go in, but I think he did get a paw on the ball. Now I talk about back cutting.
We see. And this is a different angle than we saw the first time. And I agree with Jimmy. I think the ball was going in, but it looked like it just got brushed by Tab on the backside. There you see his right palm.
I think the officials are going to look at, did the ball touch the rim prior to the jumper touching the ball? If that would be the case, you'd have basket interference. They just counted as 2.
So the way we saw it the first time is the way it's going to stand. Either way, great looking play. And now Orbjut about 2 points a game, and he's done better than that as he's got a 3-point play and gives Kentucky the lead back by 1. Here come the Cats with a little backcourt pressure. And it pays off. Bradley with a steal.
Caught Tennessee just not aware at all of the new pressure that was upon him. Had one guard in the backcourt trying to break the press by himself.
Jody Meeks in the lineup for the first time. Sheree Thomas as well. Thomas going to work in the paint, kick out. Bradley will put up a 3. Langs off the front of the iron, and Crawford keeps it alive with a new shot clock for the Wildcats.
I tell you what, those Kentucky guards are really good at running to that 12, 15-foot mark on 3-point shot attempts.
Looked like Crawford traveled. No call, and now there's going to be a whistle and an over the back on Orbjut. They're going to call it on Crawford, I beg your pardon. That'll be his first.
Again, Brad, you've got Kentucky pressing now with 2 guys guarding the point guard.
This time Tab comes to help out.
That's how you have to break it.
And Howell ahead, and a foul on Orbjut as Duke Cruz was going airborne to try to get a slam on the baseline.
Kentucky was actually pancaking the point guard around that free throw area and took him away from the press breaker. So when your point guard gets pancaked at the free throw stripe, your bigs have to come up and be the pressure release from the timeline. Tennessee gets to the free throw stripe because of it.
And Cruz at the stripe.
And you see the pancake took away the pass to the middle initially. And against the press, you can't have a turtles theory. You got to stick your neck out and look around and be willing to take a chance. That's what the Tennessee did.
Cruz second among SEC freshmen in rebounds. And he doesn't get either free throw. So an opportunity for Tennessee to regain the lead. Goes by the boards. Lob inside. Morris goes strong. Cruz did a nice job defensively.
Shot it from the right block. Not near as effective as Randolph Morris from that side.
Howell misses a 3. Morris will clear it. for a pick and roll with Morris, and Morris, the backdoor pass is perfect to Derek Jasper. You can't do it much better than that.
The partner, you've said backdoor now 3 or 4 possessions for Kentucky. So what are they doing to that white pressure? They are backdoor cutting it, bringing that offense high and opening up those baseline cuts.
Biggest lead by either team, but only 3 with 13 and change remaining in the first half. And to the basket is Duke Cruz. Nobody cut him off on the baseline. He's got an easy deuce.
There's Morris.
Low block on that side.
That's his comfort zone now.
He goes up in a double team, and Howell steals it from him.
Now that's a great job by Howell to come running in and blitz Morris.
And a foul on Sheree Thomas, or it would have been a slam for Duke Cruz. Kentucky by 1. This isn't all we've got for you tonight because Super Tuesday Western and available in high definition on ESPN HD.
That's got shades of an elimination game.
Oh, could be. You take a look at the Big Ten. 2 great ones on top, and then it get. After Cruz missed 2, he knocks down 2, and he gives Tennessee the lead back. And he gets a breather.
Sorry, Brad. Chisholm checking in for Cruz is a better defender on guys like Randolph Morris or a size guy because Chisholm defends before his guy touches the ball. Cruz only defends after his guy touches the ball. It's common with a lot of freshmen.
By that time, it's too late.
It's too late.
4 ties, 5 lead changes. Good game here going on Super Tuesday in Knoxville. 12:25 to go in the first half. Brad Nessler, Jimmy Dykes, Heather Cox. Match up with the Vols and the Wildcats for the 203rd time in this rivalry. Second oldest matchup to Mississippi State and Ole Miss in the SEC. 4 on the shot clock. Bradley, long ball off the front of the iron, kept alive at least momentarily by Jasper, and then he's tied up, but it's going to stay with Kentucky on the possession arrow.
Another rebound for Kentucky.
Meeks guarded by Lofton. And bumped by Lofton. And we've got a break with 11:56 remaining first half. Tennessee at home leading Kentucky by 1.
Gravity will propel this.
And the teams that rank this week in the top 6, the important nugget on that is none of those teams right there made it to the Final Four last year. So if you're Florida, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Carolina, Pitt, and A&M, you can't get too full of yourself. This is only February the 13th. And a lot of teams are trying to breathe right down your neck.
I don't know that Pitt necessarily got full of itself last night, but they got whacked by Louisville.
They got full of Louisville.
Boy, they did. They got a whole bunch of Cardinal stuff.
What is so great about March Madness.
Here's a hook shot on the inside by Crawford. Joe's got 6.
Kentucky press, kind of a token pressure, has slowed Tennessee down the first 9 minutes of this ball game.
Chris Lofton has been held totally in check. 1 layup when he got loose from Joe Crawford. Has not even attempted a jumper yet.
You watch him moving off the ball. He just doesn't have that explosiveness and the different speeds that a shooter needs to get himself open right now.
Smith on the inside, and Juwan Smith took it all the way to the rack. You know, when Juwan Smith plays well, Tennessee plays well, and that's regardless of whether Chris Lofton's on the floor or not. Kentucky doing most of their work in that orange paint here at Thompson Bowling Arena. Jasper, nice drive, and he finishes it. Boy, that's a nice thing about having a 6'6" point guard.
He's making about 77% of his shots in this league. He only takes 2 shots a game. Basically, he shoots layups.
Chisholm in trouble, almost threw it away. Bradshaw, tough catch on the baseline. A little bit loosey-goosey with the ball right now, the Volunteers. Nice drive. Bradshaw picks up the offensive rebound. He missed 2. Ramar Smith and Dane Bradshaw, both of them point-blank range. On the other end, going to be a whistle and a foul on Chisholm.
Brad, back-to-back possessions, though, for Tennessee that Chris Lofton doesn't get a touch. He just does not have that explosiveness that you need as a shooter to work yourself off screen, set your defender up, boom, then come off shoulder to shoulder. I think Bruce Pearl recognizes it and sits him down right now.
Bruce had said, you know, little bit by little bit. We saw him last week against LSU. Played part of the game, then played a little bit more against Vandy. He was hoping maybe 30 minutes tonight. That may or may not happen. It might depend on how close they stay or if they stay ahead of Kentucky. Right now they trail by 1. Now they trail by 3 as Bobby Perry knocks down the outside jumper.
And he plays the 4 position for Kentucky. That's the weak link. If you look at Kentucky's lineup, if he can make those 12 to 15 footers, it really opens things up for Kentucky offensively.
Midway point of the first half. 18th ranked Wildcats lead by 3.
Lofton not being on the floor shrinks now for Tennessee because Lofton can stretch the floor. The floor shrinks with him not on it.
Chisholm had a long one step to the basket and came up short on what would have been a slam dunk. I think he didn't know how close he was or how far away he was after that pass by Howell. And here's Crawford on the other end. Jasper trying to clean up. Chisholm the rebound for Tennessee and a foul by Kentucky.
Look at Chisholm working hard. Just lets the defense decide, where do you want to guard me? Okay, I'm going to pin you. He stays active because Thomas is doing a good job there, Brad, of throwing different defensive looks at him. But Chisholm was patient and kept moving and said, you decide where you want to guard. Boom, I'm going to go the other direction.
Don't you think that he thought he was a little closer to the basket when he made that turn? Because he kind of went up as if to say, I'm going to hammer this thing, and then say, whoops, I better go off the glass. I'm too far away.
Yep, knowing where you are on the floor, but this kid's a true freshman. Those are things that just become a part of your basketball instincts the older you get. I love, though, how he kept moving and demanding the basketball. If you're on scholarship at this level, you should play like that on the low post.
Yeah, he's the SEC Freshman of the Week, by the way, Chisholm, in the win over Vandy. 17 points and 12 rebounds. His 12 rebounds a season and career high. Here's Tennessee now coming down. Lofton's back in the lineup. See if they can run him around some picks. It's going to be Smith all the way. Boy, they're getting some shots with some lanes in there. They're just too strong off the glass on most of their layups.
And Ramar Smith, who blew the layup, has to make tough twos. The size of the Kentucky guards may be bothering him a little bit when he gets near the rim.
Morris goes baseline with a turnaround jumper. Nice job on the rebound by Jawan Smith. Ahead to Cruz. Tough catch by Cruz. And a little ball fake. And Jawan Smith says, here it is, there it goes. Morris trying to muscle it over Bradshaw, does, and draws the foul.
You know, and that's a great effort play by Randolph Morris because he ran the floor with guard speed and was down there on that low block and put the Tennessee defense in a world of hurt right off the bat.
The foul's on to Ramar Smith. And that'll be his first. As Randolph Morris 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. Goes every 12 minutes without picking up a foul, and the Bus can play longer. And the more he's on the floor, the better low post presence Kentucky has throughout the game. Randolph's got 4. And that was a brick by Jawan Smith from three-point land, but Bradshaw somehow kept it alive, and Cruz is fouled. How many times do we say Bradshaw keeps it alive?
Somehow.
Somehow.
An important ball game for Tennessee, coming off 2 home wins over LSU and Vanderbilt. Now they get Kentucky. Certainly their resume looks really good when you look at the numbers when Chris Lofton has been on this floor for Bruce Pearl.
And Bruce looks really good in the orange sports go.
Back-to-back games.
Yep.
Vanderbilt.
He only does it for Vandy and Kentucky.
But he told his team today, I'm wearing an orange jacket because I want this to be a rivalry. He said, guys, a rivalry has to have equal wins on both sides. It's time for us to start beating Kentucky.
2 misses from Cruz. He's only 2 out of 6 from the free throw line. Crawford 3. Inside, rejected by Cruz.
A good early offense though out of Kentucky.
Now let's see if Tennessee can calm down in their half-court offense and get a good shot. Ramar Smith on top. There's the bounce pass to Cruz from Bradshaw.
Randolph Morris got attracted to the basketball with his eyes as the middle guy in that zone, Brad. And Tennessee made him play along that short corner.
Backcourt foul, a whistle, and Ramar Smith picks up his second. Ernie Grunfeld, part of the Ernie and Bernie show from back about 40 years ago. We're going to talk with him when we come back. Tied at 19 here. Smokies having a good time in Knoxville. They had a good time back in the mid-70s when the Ernie and Bernie show played here from 1974 through 77. Ernie Grunfeld, Bernard King led the Volunteers to a 61-20 record, a couple NCAA tournament appearances, an SEC title in 77. Bernard averaged 26 a game in 3 seasons before turning pro. Ernie Grunfeld, first-team All-American, and he's with Heather Cox right now.
And now Ernie Grunfeld, president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards. But yes, you were one half of that Ernie and Bernie show, considered one of the best 1-2 combos in college history. What was it like playing for the Vols at that time?
Well, it was great. This is a great environment. College basketball is always a great environment. And Bernard was a great teammate. And we had a blast together.
Your counterpart was Bernard King. Actually, here will become the first player to have his jersey retired. You've been around hoops for a long time. You played alongside him, considered one of the best. Just how good was he?
Well, he was a tremendous player. You know, I'm glad to be here, try to help honor him. He was one of the greatest players ever in the SEC. He was a great flow player. He led the NBA in scoring one season. He's a great teammate, and I couldn't be happier for him.
And now in this orange out Bruce Pearl here, what do you think of the current state of Tennessee basketball?
Well, I think they're definitely heading in the right direction. Bruce is a good friend of mine. I'm really glad to see him here. And this is just a great atmosphere, a great environment. You see all the people wearing orange, and there's nothing like a Kentucky and Tennessee game. The tradition is really, really rich.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, and best of luck with the Wizards.
Thank you very much.
Brad?
Ernie Grunfeld over 2,200 points. Part of the New York connection. It seems impossible. Basically, those two guys, because I remember it like it was 40 years ago we're talking about. Well, no, 30 years ago. 30 years ago.
What numbers they put up. I can still remember the Sports Illustrated cover.
Yeah.
Playing out in my driveway, and I used to play a game, you know, when I was a little kid growing up, and I would actually play, you know, Bernard King and Ernie Grunfeld. In my mind, I thought I was. You know how Bernard King maybe influenced the game of basketball as much as anything? The Bernard King move. He brought that into the pro game, and then it trickled down to the college game. The Bernard King move that coaches teach kids. Defensively, you get the guy on your hip, you kind of back him in a little bit, and then sweep that basketball from one side to the other, a little quick step back, boom. Or Bernard King did it as well as anyone.
Well, he was so great in the NBA. 14 years, and he missed, what, most of 2 years with major injuries, and still came back and led the league in scoring one season, as Ernie was saying, with Heather, averaged 33 a game with the Knicks one season.
He was voted the MVP of the NBA by his peers over guys like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Wow.
That says something.
That's pretty good. Here we're just under 7 minutes, and Kentucky leads by 2. Chris Lofton's been held to 1 basket. Took a 3-pointer while Heather was talking to Ernie that was off the mark, and had the crowd kind of oohing and eyeing, just hoping he can get open for a jumper. Here he gives it back to Cruz on a pick and roll. The extra pass is intercepted, and now Cruz gets it back and slams it. But let's see who's the foul on. Foul's going to be on Ramel Bradley. We got a Sports Center 30 at 30 update. Reese Davis. All right, Reese here. Cruz knocks down 2 free throws. I guess that's his pattern. Miss 2, make 2, miss 2, make 2. He's 4 out of 8. He's the leading scorer right now for Tennessee. Kentucky turns it over.
Jody Meeks with a casual habit pass against that Tennessee pressure that will not work.
Well, this crowd just waiting to explode. Here's a, nope, no 3. Now behind the back, 1 too many passes, or at least not that kind.
That's a crazy pass by Smith. What in the world are you thinking, young fella?
Kentucky gives it right back. Crawford turns it over. Cruz comes out. He'll get a breather again.
Well, Brad, more times than not, the extra pass in basketball results in not points. The extra pass results in turnovers.
Yeah.
The correct pass results in points. Kids get that confused sometimes.
We got it confused the last trip, that's for sure. Howell, the entry down on the block to Chisholm, who draws a crowd. Howell's going to pull up for 3. Got it!
And somebody has to make shots if Chris Lofton can't shake himself free tonight in this ball game. It has to be Howell, it has to be one of the Smiths. Howell has answered so far.
Three-pointer by Howell has given Tennessee its biggest lead. And here comes the crowd at Thompson-Boling. Bobby Perry will quiet him down momentarily at least.
Beautiful job by Perry to read the defense. He was a pick and roll guy, but he didn't roll himself into trouble. He rolled himself into a 12-foot shot.
So it's a different looking lineup. Howell and Childress and Tabb. Jawan Smith and Chisholm, who's got the ball way out on top. Chris Lofton's going to the scorer's table, set to check back in. We're at the 5-minute mark. Tennessee leading 18th ranked Kentucky by 1. Chisholm asking for it in the low block. It comes back on top, and Childress got a three.
The only kid that plays for Tennessee that you don't have to guard out there is Duke Cruz. Everybody else is a three-point threat.
Jody Meeks pulls up, and he buries a three. The freshman for Kentucky with a big shot. And the answer to Childress on the other end. Boy, that shot of Childress has rolled around and around, and then it said, wait a minute, it's a home rim. And down it went.
Watch 33 in blue, that part of your screen right there. Just a little extra oomph at the end. I think Kentucky is a lot tougher team than they were last year. Not that that was a toughness play, but just the mentality they bring to the floor this year different.
Bradley knocks it away from Jordan Howell. Still Tennessee ball. Tubby Smith's team last year went 22-13. We're 9-7, third in the East. They come in 18-6, 7-3 in the East into this one. Lofton momentarily open. Three. Got it.
Finally, they get a little fade screen for Lofton to work off of. Gets a crack at daylight, nothing but the bottom.
Bradley throws it away. Orbjut can't handle the pass on the inside. Lofton's open again. Got another one. Even the best that's ever played here can appreciate a good shooter. Make that a great shooter.
I'm seeking a match.
Now when you buy a new PC, get this great offer from Geek Squad. It's time to love your PC. Come find your match at Best Buy.
Back-to-back triples by Chris Lofton. Tennessee by 7.
I said in the open, Lofton is a big shot specialist on this floor. Maybe won't get a lot of them, but he will hit the biggest shots in the ball game as far as momentum.
Bobby Perry's going to take a three because they backed away from him and he missed it.
You better find Lofton.
You better. Yeah, I was just going to say that. You think there's not a heat check coming? Howell's going to try one. Got it!
And Brad made shots by Lofton not only give himself momentum, they give teammates momentum as well. He's a big shot specialist.
Tennessee by 10. And Orbjut had his stuff blocked by Chisholm. And the crowd is going nuts.
Which is why we used it.
All right, Reese, we look forward to it. 3:15 from now, the UPS halftime report. This is Super Tuesday presented by Lexus, and a couple of super looks by Chris Lofton the last 2 trips, Jimmy.
Early in this game, though, Lofton in the half court watching. He's not moving, he's not quick, he's not explosive. He can't even get a touch when the game is in a half court situation. They're forcing him out on the floor, and he can only be involved as a passer. But as soon as the game gets into transition, he gets a fade screen, and boom, nothing but the bottom. The very next possession, again, the game is in transition. It allows a guy with a bad ankle. The game gets in transition. A guy with a bad ankle can get loose. That's what got Lofton into this ball game. The transition push by Tennessee.
Tennessee on a 12-3 run in the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds, all on 3-pointers, and Kentucky turns it over for the 8th time. Boy, they hit another 3 here. The top's going to come off this place. Chisholm. Childress tried to tip it in, and Morris will clear it ahead of Jody Meeks on the run.
I would back it out and get 33 in blue involved. Randolph Morris needs a touch, and they don't do it.
Try to get it to Sheree Thomas and another Kentucky turnover.
Never made the defense move. That's a turnover waiting to happen without Morris getting a touch.
Lofton three, in and out. And Morris has another rebound. Randolph Morris having a big night on the boards with 6 already in the first half.
Tubby Smith just called a play from the sidelines, and I guarantee you it involves Randolph Morris. It should.
Well, Romel Bradley, his first basket. He has scored 20 or more in 4 straight games.
Grab it, the play would involve Morris. He set the ball screen, and if the defense did not defend it right, he was going to roll to the rim. It was a good call by Tubby Smith.
Chisholm with a left hand. Tell you what, this freshman's growing up as we watch him week in and week out, Jimmy.
Randolph Morris is not really mobile side to side defensively, and they took advantage of it.
Offensive foul on Bradley as Chisholm holds his ground. Let's check in with Heather.
Well, guys, Tubby Smith told us today he's been frustrated with Kentucky's post defense, but it's the perimeter defense that has plagued the Wildcats tonight, and that was the emphasis in the last time out. Smith was in the face of his guards, demanding intensity, quick feet, a hand in the face, and pride on defense. Tonight, allowing Tennessee to shoot 50% long range, already 6 of 12, guys.
And Kentucky came in first in the conference in field goal percentage and number 3 in three-point defense. And neither of those is holding right now. Howell will try his third 3. And it almost drops. Rebound Sheree Thomas. Ahead to Romel Bradley. Minute and a half to go. And Bradley lost it out of bounds. Kentucky's had 3 turnovers in the last 4 trips down court.
Being loose and casual with the basketball, with the defender climbing into your jersey, that is not how you win on the road.
And Kentucky is 3-1 on the SEC road. They're going to have some ground to make up in the second half. They trail by 10. Howell, the entry pass. Underneath, muscling it up is Duke Cruz. A 12-point Tennessee lead.
Tennessee doing damage by bringing cutters from the weak side of the floor to the ball side block right now against Kentucky.
Whistle and a foul before the shot. Dane Bradshaw picks up his second. Just a minute and 2 remaining before Reese and Digger will have the UPS halftime report. Tubby Smith trying to tell Romel Bradley what he didn't do right the last trip down, including the turnover. Bobby Perry knocks down the free throw.
Tubby's irritated about the 40 points that Tennessee has put on the board in this ball game. And that is not his MO at all. He's about defending and toughness, playing with purpose on the road on the defensive end, and Kentucky has given too many open looks in this game.
They don't like that 50% mark either, because when Kentucky holds opponents under 50%, Tubby Smith's teams almost never lose. Bradshaw drives off the glass. It won't drop. And Kentucky can make it a single-digit game if they score this trip. Crawford will bring it up this time.
Now here's Randolph Morris with a ball screen up top. Now that also triggers him to run to the rim and get involved offensively.
Meeks missed a 3. Rebound to Smith. Ahead to Tab. And Josh will pull it out, and Kentucky can play for the last shot. Kentucky's only got 1 3-pointer in 7 attempts. It's going to be, it appears, a 10-point lead or more for Tennessee at halftime. And this crowd is on its feet right now, just waiting to give this Volunteer group a big ovation. Howell missed a 3. Cruz has it blocked by Morris. And the last shot is off the back of the backboard. I think Tennessee will take it, though, huh? They started cold and they warmed up.
There's the shooting, though, of Chris Lofton in that 45-second span. Boom. They gave Tennessee the shot.
I'm pretty sure Bruce would take a 40-30 lead. Let's find out. Heather's with him.
Coach, midway through the first half, it's like the light turned on. Shots started to fall. How did you guys turn it on?
I thought once the pace picked up, Heather, it was to our advantage. And, you know, the tempo, the crowd, we got great production off of our bench.
Defensively, how have you slowed down those Wildcats?
They're really good. You know, we're mixing up our double teams on Morris, trying to kiss, you know, when we're going, when we're not. You know, they miss some open shots that they normally make.
Thanks, Coach. Must be the magic of that orange blazer, guys.
I don't know. It's working right now. Everybody else is in orange, too, in Tennessee, and they're all happy for the first half. 40-30. Vols lead the 18th-ranked Wildcats as we send it to the UPS halftime report. And here's Reese. Reese.
Same team for that stretch of games in which Chris Lofton was recovering from that ankle injury. And in that little spurt, Digger, he looked a little bit closer to the old Chris Lofton.
Yeah, he leads a 12-3 spurt, but you got to say to Kentucky, where's your defense trying to guard the threes when he gets hot? Not only that, you go 1 for 7 shooting threes. You haven't learned anything from the Florida game. Forget the threes and go to the basket, Kentucky.
And going under screens on
defense.
Chris Lofton.
Yeah.
See, I hang around you coaches. I learn a little bit every now and then, too. 10-point lead for the Volunteers at halftime coming up on the UPS half. Chris Lofton getting healthier. You can't let him roam around outside the arc. Great shooter at 8 points in the first half. Volunteers on top of Kentucky, 40-30. That was not a great offensive performance by the Spartans. Expect a much better performance against the Wolverines tonight. Both teams really needing to do some business in the last few weeks of the season. Jordan Howell, sharpshooter for the Volunteers. 6 in the first half. Tennessee up by 10.
Night and a night to remember as Mike Hamilton, the athletic director at Tennessee, presenting Bernard King with his retired jersey, which becomes the first ever to go in the rafters here at Thompson Bowling Arena. 3-time SEC Player of the Year, scored almost 2,000 points in 3 years, then went on to the NBA in 14 seasons and scored almost 20,000 points. And this was Bernard being introduced to the crowd under the spotlight. His acceptance speech was marvelous. As Mike Hamilton, the athletic director, you see Bernard's family over to the right. Ernie Grunfeld back there in the back. And then the light came on before Bernard with an acceptance speech. This is the first time a jersey's been retired. Now, if you go back, Doug Dickey, the former athletic director, didn't believe in retiring jerseys, and that included the football team. And the football team has since now retired some jerseys in the person of Doug Atkins, Reggie White, and Peyton Manning. So they've started to do it around here under Mike Hamilton. And speaking of the football team, there's Coach Fulmer. And when you talk about Doug Atkins, Reggie White, and Peyton Manning, those aren't bad jerseys. Plus 4 soldiers who died during World War II that had played for Tennessee. So those are the retired jerseys for the male athletes. And Bernard King, only the 3rd African-American ever to play at the University of Tennessee under Coach Ray Mears, who was also in attendance tonight, his old coach, and Ernie Grunfeld, his old teammate, who scored over 2,200 points. And one of the things that Bernard said is he said, folks, I just want to tell you, the Ernie and Bernie show is back. And sometimes schools do not embrace past athletes for some reason, whether they leave early for the NBA, whatever the case might be. The welcome he got in front of this crowd tonight, it just gives me tingles still thinking about it because it's been going on for about 20 minutes. He's home, and as Mike Hamilton said, welcome home, and everybody was on their feet for Bernard King.
And Brad, Bernard King told the Tennessee kids this afternoon at shoot-around, Bruce Pearl circled him up around the wagon, and Bernard King spoke, and he said, I'm going to end my statement with this. The first time I ever played Kentucky, we got beat. In the locker room of that game, I made a vow to myself, I will never lose to Kentucky again. You know what?
He never did.
He never lost again.
He never lost another one. And, of course, those two guys from New York to come down to Tennessee. And in this game, now it is Tennessee going to hold up their end and say, okay, we're not going to let Kentucky beat us? And guys like Dane Bradshaw have never won a game against Kentucky in here, and he's a senior. They've got a 10-point lead. For Carey, his 10-point lead because you're playing Kentucky. But Tennessee played very well in the first half.
Well, they really did. They were opportunistic when they took threes. I think Kentucky maybe rushed 3 or 4. They only took 7. Maybe 2 or 3 of them were questionable. I think Kentucky has got to get Randolph Morris involved in this ball game. Think about this. We look at the first half numbers. Kentucky not shooting a great percentage. And look at those Tennessee assists, 13 assists off of their 15 makes. But in the first half, Randolph Morris plays 15 minutes, and he takes 3 shots. Wukash Orbjut, who is not the player that Randolph Morris is, plays 2 minutes and takes 3 shots as well. Wukash Orbjut averages less than 2 points a game. Morris is their leading scorer. You've got to get 33 and blue involved in this game immediately in the second half if you're Kentucky. That's way out of balance right now if you're Kentucky.
And I'm sure that's part of what Tubby was telling Kentucky. Heather's got more on that.
And indeed, very frustrated with the perimeter defense. They felt that they lost Lofton way too often in transition on defense. Tubby also talked about the hustle points, things like going after loose balls. Felt that Kentucky had way too many turnovers and really not playing smart basketball. And guys, just to note, the last 4 halves, Kentucky shooting just 6 of 38, 16% from three-point range.
That is an ouch, and Tennessee hit 6 threes, 2 big ones by Lofton, 2 big ones by Howell, and that's how they got the double-digit lead that they have right now as we head into the second half. 40-30 Tennessee, and here we go in Knoxville for half number 2. Ramar Smith trying to drive, will bring it back out to Bradshaw, who maybe back in the day would have taken that shot, but he's lost a little off his shot with that shoulder problem. 6 on the shot clock. Inside. And it would have been a shot clock violation had it stayed in Tennessee's hands. Didn't hit the rim. Morris with a 7th rebound.
That's what the emphasis was for Kentucky at half, and I can tell you what it was. Go at the rim, take the ball to the paint, get Randolph Morris involved in this game. The first 2 possessions after the half will always tell you what the coach talked about at halftime.
Randolph Morris got it down inside, and while the foul came from Jawan Smith, it does send Bobby Perry to the free throw line.
Bobby Smith trying to correct that in practice. He says over a 2-hour practice, an hour and a half is great, but 30 minutes I lose him. That carries over to a game if you're not careful.
Well, it's a good start for him. They got a defensive stop and then 2 on the other end, and now Morris with a goaltending call will give the basket to Ramar Smith, and that'll be officially his first 2 points, even though it didn't go through the net.
Well, Kentucky has adjusted their defense to start the second half. They're coming out with more pressure on the perimeter. What does that open up for Tennessee? Back cuts to the rim.
There's Morris on the baseline. Whistle and a foul before the shot.
Florida game on Saturday night. He never left the left side of the floor in the second half. That's where he went to work.
Jasper trying to keep it alive, but it's tracked down in the corner by Jawan Smith. Bradshaw across the lane, tried to go back door as Jimmy was talking about, but it was intercepted, and then Bobby Perry walks with it. It's the 12th turnover suffered by Kentucky, and Tennessee's only got half that many.
Bobby Perry saying he didn't have possession of the basketball, but he did right there. 1, 2, 3, right on top of it.
Foul on Crawford, as Chris Lofton was trying to rub Crawford off the screen, and they got tangled up, and that's a second on Crawford.
Crawford almost face guarding Chris Lofton right now. Tubby Smith saying again in the half-court game, we're going to take Lofton out of the arsenal by face guarding, and he gets loose.
Lofton for 3.
And there's no excuse for that. If you're face guarding, there's no excuse for Lofton to get loose on you.
His 3rd 3 of the night, 11 points all of a sudden. It was so quiet for him in the opening stages of the half. As Jimmy said, in the half-court game, he couldn't get free, and now Kentucky throws it away again. Nobody home. 13-point Tennessee lead. Matching the number of turnovers suffered by Kentucky.
Look at Lofton Crawford just chasing him, caboosing him, and just that little bit of hesitation on a cut to the basket got Lofton freed up top.
18:03 to go in the ball game. Tennessee's extended their lead, on top by 13. Chris Lofton, number 5, leading scorer in the SEC. And a lot of folks in his hometown in Maysville, Kentucky, and Mason County High School wear that number 5. Bruce Pearl made a trip back in September to Mason County High School in Maysville. Went to thank a loyal group of Chris Lofton fans who, residing in the heart of Wildcat country, have adopted Tennessee, and number 5 is their favorite. Rocky Top was played as Bruce entered the same gym where Lofton starred in high school. And when Chris was a senior, his team beat Brian Smith, Tubby Smith's son, in the state basketball playoffs. So they're very well aware of the talents. He's one of 3 Mr. Kentuckys that have played for the University of Tennessee. Allen Houston being another one. And so much has been made of that. I don't know if it's too much or not, Jimmy, because, you know, they bring it up and they put it in the face of the Kentucky folks. How come you don't have Chris Lofton? Well, they already had Ramel Bradley lined up to be their guard. And as you said, Rajon Rondo was also part of that group. Heather's got more on that.
Yeah, Brad, you talk about the three that Tubby Smith chose. Well, it's actually Chris Lofton whose numbers are more impressive. He has 280 career threes. He's made nearly as many threes as Rajon Rondo, Joe Crawford, and Ramel Bradley combined. And those are the three, of course, that Tubby Smith picked instead of Chris Lofton.
I thought it was interesting earlier this week. Papers in Lexington were talking with Ramel Bradley, and they said, do you think Chris Lofton's got the greatest range as a shooter in the SEC? And he said, yeah, everybody, he does except me. And here he goes, and there it goes.
Good call, partner. That's the guy coming in 4 straight 20-point games for Kentucky. He can ignite him. Lofton's still the best contested shooter, though, in the SEC.
Here's the gutsiest one. The 6'9 freshman who's not afraid to hoist him. Wayne Chisholm's second three of the night. And defensively, a foul as Randolph Morris went down very hard. Chisholm's going to be called for the foul. Morris in some pain. Chisholm on the other end probably coming out because that's his third foul. And I hope it's nothing serious. I know he hit the deck hard. Now he's holding his left knee. I thought he was able to brace his fall, but maybe not. Without Morris in there, obviously. Harry lost the handle. Here goes Jawan Smith, and one.
Brad, the turnover is really starting to mount up for Kentucky. And in this building, the butter will slip off your biscuit quickly if you're the opposition and you continue to give the ball to the team in white, because they are outstanding with their guards, attacking that rim and finishing in contact.
That's what happened to Vanderbilt over the weekend. They couldn't even find the biscuits or the butter. They were in a 13-0 hole before they knew what hit them. And now Tennessee making a run here on Kentucky in the second half, and they lead by 16. Wow.
And the bad thing for Kentucky to get back in this ball game, they need to pick up the pace. But the faster the pace goes, the more it favors Tennessee.
Crawford trying to weave through traffic. And a foul on the inside. They're going to call it on Cruz. That'll be his second. Randolph Morris okay.
Into the game soon.
Looks pretty focused right now. I think Tubby wants to get him back in there because I think he's angry. Bradley, three, got another one. Ramel Bradley. 2 3-pointers, the only field goals of this half for Kentucky, but that helps their cause, gets them back to within 13.
They've got to get Morris back in the ball game, though. I don't think Kentucky can come back and win, turn it into a 3-point shooting contest. Not in this building.
Not against these guys. Whistle and a foul on Jody Meeks. So we're almost 4 minutes into the second half. Morris sitting, Tennessee by 13.
Tennessee's non-conference wins, they're still solid on those resumes. Texas, Oklahoma State, Memphis, those will not go away.
Crossover by Cruz, nice dribble move. Good rebound by Jasper and a great outlet to Bradley against Howell one-on-one. Lost the handle. Looked like a transition basket. Now Crawford will try a three. Lofton. Look out, Chris Lofton in the open floor. And a whistle and a foul. Tennessee by 13 on a night that they're honoring Bernard King with his jersey in the rafters, the first one ever here at Tennessee. And Heather will talk to the 3-time SEC Player of the Year when we come back.
In Knoxville, I'm joined by Bernard King. And Bernard, at halftime, your number 53 became the first player's jersey to ever be retired here at Tennessee. Is there any way to describe what you felt as it came down from the rafters?
Well, it's certainly a great thing to be back after 30 years, to be here with my family and my former teammates, my former coach, and It's a tremendous feeling. I'm really excited about it. It stands for a great deal, and I'm really appreciative that the university and athletic department decided that I should be the first.
Well, and this place erupted at halftime, and it's been decades since you've been in Knoxville. Did you have any idea just how much these faithful love you?
No, I really did, because I played here in an exhibition game when I was with the Washington Bullets, but truly I haven't been here in 30 years, and I'm reconnecting to the program, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help the program improve, because Coach Sproul is such a great coach.
When they asked you when you wanted to do this, you said, when do we play Kentucky? Why is this rivalry so important to you?
Well, it's a very deep rivalry. It started many decades ago when Ernie and I were here. They didn't like the fact that we got more publicity than their players, and we lost my first game as a freshman. And I vowed after that game that Kentucky will never beat me or my teammates and Ernie Grunfeld and I, as long as I'm at UT.
And they didn't. You won 5 straight in Tennessee, hoping to do the same tonight. Thanks, Cody.
Exciting game. You can hear the electricity in the crowd.
It's wonderful. Thanks so much for your time, Brad.
As Duke Cruz underneath gets his 12th point in the lead at 14 after Crawford's 3 on one end. Joe comes back with a deuce the next trip down court. Crawford with 5 straight points for Kentucky. Well, Bernard can be more a part of the program. He's only about 3 hours away, making Atlanta home now, so hopefully he'll be back a lot more.
He was a 20-year-old rookie in the NBA. Randolph Morris, Bernard King averaged 24 points and 9 rebounds as a 20-year-old in that league.
That's LeBron-type stuff for some of you youngsters who don't remember Bernard. Duke Cruz, 14 for the freshman.
Again, a freshman defending the freshman, and he wanted to play defense after the catch. It's too late at that point.
I really like Cruz and Chisholm, the 2 freshman guys inside for Tennessee. They're very active. As you said, one's a little better on offense and one's a little better on defense, as Ramel Bradley knocks down his 3rd 3 of the second half, trying to keep Kentucky in this thing.
Morris coming back in now, so Kentucky's going to go from a 3-point shooting team to see if they can get some balance with their offense.
They have picked up some slack. They've cut the lead by 5. There goes number 5. He'll get another chance. 15 for Lofton. Bradley thought about it, now instead drives inside, and he'll have a chance for an old-fashioned 3. Ramel Bradley coming to life. The guy when I mentioned it's a ball game, and he got it. So basically 4 3-point plays for Ramel Bradley in this half. 14 points for the game, right on his average, and the lead's down to 10, and you can hear a little hush in the crowd now. There's been nothing but applause and standing ovations all night for everything that's happened in this building, and right now they're sitting on their hands a little bit as Kentucky has cut a 16-point lead down to 10. And Howell, is he going to give it up? Yes, he will if Jasper can track it down, but he can't. Good defense, though, by Kentucky. The double team in the trap and then knocking the pass away, and they almost came up with one.
You know, the other thing about Tennessee's offense, when they get in their 2 guards up top and run the baseline shuffle, it's really like some false motion, so they can shorten the length of the game. Tennessee not known for that, but they can shorten the length of the game with their false motion if they want to.
Morris blocked the shot. Meeks the outlet to Thomas. And a whistle and a foul. Let's get a SportsCenter 30 update with Reese Davis. Reese has 3 3-pointers and a 3-point play for 14 points for the game. And it's single digits, Jimmy, 59-51.
And the importance of this ball game, Tennessee right now would project out to be a number 7 or 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. Kentucky a 3 seed. A lot at stake in this game.
Morris blocked what would have been a shot by Chisholm. Now everybody scrambling for the ball. Tennessee still got it. And Morris steals it. Great hustle by Randolph Morris.
Boy, he gambled with intelligence because he's the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper, when they gamble, they've got to come up with a steal. Otherwise, it's a layup.
Offensive foul on Bradley, and Tubby Smith is saying, are you kidding me? And that's 4 on Ramel Bradley. Ran into a much bigger Chisholm. trying to make a move offensively. So Ramel Bradley, 4 fouls, and that takes out a big-time score for Kentucky as they try to close the gap. All right, Reese, thanks. Here, Tennessee showing us their resume. That Kentucky fan, so lonely. Takes a lot of guts to come in here, or vice versa if you have Orange on to go down to Rupp Arena. 59-51, or under 12 minutes remaining in the game.
Read that ACC looking more and more like a league that's going to produce 6, if not 7 teams for that tournament.
SEC hoping for that too. Chisholm and Cruz, the 2 freshmen. One has 12, one has 14. Morris draws a double team. They move it around the perimeter. Jasper's in trouble. He's got to get rid of it. Crawford. Short on a 3. Kept alive. And now it's Perry. Finally, the follow by Morris. Nobody cut Morris off at the pass. And only his 2nd field goal of the night.
He lives on that left side.
Lofton. Whew, almost from our broadcast table. Kentucky just throws it up there. Jody Meeks. There was nobody to even pass it to. And they turn it over again. There's a good pass by Chisholm to Ramar Smith. And a foul by Meeks.
At key times in this ball game, Tennessee has done a great job of back cutting against the pressure. There you see it right there. Just go to the rim. Head's not on a swivel in the blue uniform. The white uniform reads it. Look at this right here. Just lose contact with your guy either physically or with your eyes, and that tells you run to the rim for 2 points.
Ramar Smith, the freshman out of Mount Clemens, Michigan, at the free throw line. 4 points all in this half. As far as in league games, he leads SEC freshmen in assists, steals, and is 2nd in scoring. All his scoring come this half, but that 3-point play is now given the Vols an 11-point lead. Almost the midway point of the 2nd half.
Brad, if you're Kentucky, you know you're only down 11 with 10 minutes to go. Get Randolph Morris involved in this ball game.
Yeah.
You've got a 3-point shooter on the bench with 4 fouls, so now you become inside oriented, I think, if you're Kentucky.
There he is, and there it goes. Good call, Jimmy.
I mean, he's on that left side of the floor longer than some dates I used to be on when I was single. That's how long he stays over there. I was on dates that didn't last that long.
Chisholm trying to work on Morris. That was quicker than some of your dates right there.
Yeah.
Chisholm.
That's the other thing I think you can do to Randolph Morris is go at him, around him. You can't go over him. I think you go around him. He's not great at sliding side to side.
11-point lead. We're past the midway point of the half. Crawford to Morris again. Morris just too strong. Didn't use the backboard and couldn't get enough on it to get a slam dunk, and Sheree Thomas loses it out of bounds. Probably looks perplexed at times.
It's his defense. He talked to us today at the shooting around. Touches him the most, and there it is again.
A lack of. As Tab just tomahawks it. The lead back to 13. Crawford hits a 3. Crawford's got 16. But with Bradley on the bench with 4 fouls, that was his backcourt mate that was starting to make some progress. Will Kentucky have enough firepower to battle back into this? Trailing by 10 with under 9 to go. Bradshaw up and under. Sheree Thomas with a rebound.
I think Kentucky has enough offense to come back and win this game. I don't know if they have the defensive mindset and the toughness it takes to win on the road in front of 23,000.
Crawford with a chance for a 3-point play. Bradshaw picks up his 3rd foul.
Again, you talk about the Kentucky guards. I love their strength when they get contact. It does not knock them off of the path.
Will his team to stay in this game right now. And the lead is down to 7. Boy, it seesaws back and forth. It was up to 13 just seems like seconds ago.
Tough teams can get back-to-back stops on the road. Kentucky's got to get the first one before they can worry about the second one. Back-to-back stops can win you championships.
Smith and a chance for a three-point play again.
Just can't do it, can they, Brad?
Jasper's got 4 now. They just can't stop him. You're right.
Those Tennessee guards' ability to go by the Kentucky guards are bigger and stronger. Tennessee with the quickness on the offensive end starting to show up in this ball game.
And now the Wildcats have got a lot of trouble because 2 of their starting 3 backcourt players have got 4 fouls. Chris Lofton can sit down and catch his breath here with 8:19 to go, as Lamar Smith, who didn't score in the first quarter, has got 7 right now. Almost tipped in by Cruz. That would have been a killer. Still single-digit ball game. Tennessee by 9. Crawford's been the big offensive spark. He's got the ball on top right now. Stevenson works inside. Tough shot, and he got it to go.
Well, it was because he's built like a 3-iron, and he had a little contact. He just jumped over the top of it. He is a long, lanky dude.
That's his first basket.
Here's their false motion I talked about. The guys along the baseline just work off of each other, can take some time off the clock.
Airmail. Stevenson picks that one off the backside as Joanne Smith was nowhere near the basket. 7 can become 5 if Kentucky scores. Crawford muscles it up and in. 21 for Crawford, and it's down to a 5-point game.
So Brad, on one end, Kentucky's guards are scoring off of muscle plays. Tennessee's guards, they're scoring off of quickness plays. Which will win out in this ball game?
Lofton on the bench, remember. Howell doing some dribbling out on top. He hit a couple big threes in the first half. Cruz, low block, blocked by Thomas from behind. And did they get a timeout called? Or did he step out of bounds? Officials are talking about it right now. Quite frankly, I don't know. It's a timeout with 7 minutes to go. Tennessee clinging now to just a 5-point lead. All right, Reese, here it's a 5-point Tennessee lead, a 10-2 run by Kentucky in the last 2.5 minutes. This was the play right before the whistle, and I quite frankly didn't know if it was an out-of-bounds call or a basketball here. There's the foul trouble. Bradley on the bench with 4. So does Jasper. And Bradley, one of the top scorers, of course, for Kentucky. And with that in mind, Joe Crawford has taken over most of the scoring. Here is Crawford. Chance to make it a 3-point game for the Wildcats.
Kentucky going without Randolph Moore, so they're a perimeter. 5 guys on the offense right now can all slash and cut and drive that basketball.
Crawford defended well by Lofton, who knocked it out of bounds. So they're going to say Kentucky ball, last touch by Lofton. Heather, what was the Tennessee huddle like over there with Bruce Pearl?
Well, no surprise. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy. Talked quite a bit about rebounding, especially on the offensive end. Then they talked about defense, and then he kept everybody aware of Kentucky's foul troubles. Said, let's take advantage of it right here.
Let's see if they can. Crawford, long 3 with 7 on the shot clock. He knocked another one down. 24 for Joe Crawford. 2-point game.
Tennessee wants to take advantage of Kentucky's foul problem. So what does that tell you? At some point, they're going to drive this basketball and force Kentucky to converge. That was the message in the huddle. Do they execute it? Nice.
Beautiful. Into Cruz on a bounce pass from Smith.
And that's just as good as driving the basketball. Drive it at the rim or throw it towards the rim. Great job by Tennessee.
Tennessee fans back on their feet with 5:45 to go. 4-point game. Both teams trying to move up in the SEC East. Tournament's just around the corner in Atlanta. Jody Meeks for 3. How's that for guts for a freshman? 1-point game.
Bruce Pearl wants to turn this thing back into a rivalry. He's got it right where he wants it with 5:19 to go.
Mission accomplished. 5 minutes to play. Again, they go to Cruz. Same play, same result. 18 for the Duke, matching his career high.
What has Tennessee done? Heather talked about in the timeout. Go at Kentucky's foul problems. They continue, Tennessee does, to go inside.
And now Derek Jasper, foul trouble or not, scores. Chris Lofton for 3. You think these two teams don't want it badly?
Terrific job by Tennessee, though. 2 possessions in a row. They do just what Bruce Pearl says. Go at Kentucky's foul problems. You do that by driving that ball or taking it to the low block. Those are back-to-back layups. The one guy that has the green light to not go inside is Chris Lofton when you let him measure the rim. The release, the rotation, boom. And the Big Orange result out of the big shot specialist, Chris Lofton.
Lofton, 4 more threes tonight. 284 threes for his career. And that just passed Tony Delk, a former great at Kentucky, for the number 5 spot all-time in SEC history. Not bad on a wheel that's not completely healed, huh? Here we go. We're under 5. 77-73, Tennessee.
Brad, this is one of those games that you know the selection committee members are watching at home tonight on February the 13th. This one will leave a lasting impression as far as do you get bumped up a seed or not get bumped up a seed. It's that important of a ball game with a lot of eyes focused on this thing with 4:30 to go.
Tennessee trying to go to 6-5 in the conference. Morris inside with a left hand. Strong move by Randolph Morris. 12 for the big guy. 2-point game. Lofton, deep ball. Chisholm keeps it alive with a hook shot. And now Kentucky's got it back, and they've got a chance to tie this game. They trailed by 16 points at one stage in the second half, 51-35. Game on, 4 to play. Tennessee by 2. And a collision and a foul call on Chisholm. And that's 4 on Wayne Chisholm. Timeout taken, Tennessee with a 2-point lead, 3:56 remaining. Both teams with foul trouble. Both teams playing as hard as they possibly can for their SEC East lives. I don't think you want to leave this one. All right, Dave, don't get stuck there. We know there's a lot of snow in that part of the country, not in Knoxville. Nothing but heat tonight in Thompson Bowling Arena. And Randolph Morris at the line to try to tie the game. Picked up by Meeks. And he's fouled.
But just having an awareness of how many free throws Randolph Morris had pays off for Jody Meeks. Tennessee got caught with a hand in the cookie jar.
Our 6th tie of the night and the first time since it was 21 apiece.
Look out.
Lofton, short. Rebound kept alive and right back up and in for Jawan Smith. (79-77) Tennessee trying to hang on by their fingernails to a big lead they had earlier. Crawford in and out. Rebound up and in by Jasper and a chance to take the lead. Missed free throw. Scramble for the ball, and Tennessee wins the scramble. Tied at 79 with 3 minutes to play. Lofton, double team, finds an open man, and Chisholm on the baseline. You worry too much about number 5 and you leave guys like number 4 open.
I was just getting ready to say, because of they face guard Lofton and chasing, he now can beat you as a passer. Great recognition by Lofton. They took away his strength, so he goes to his backup plan.
Jasper brings it back out on top. 15 on the shot clock, 2.5 to play. Sheree Thomas has to shag down an errant pass. Crawford with the ball in his hand. He's been the big scorer for Kentucky this half. trying to work away for a shot. Off the front of the iron. Lofton with a rebound. 3-on-1 Tennessee. Smith underneath. Score. And Jasper is gone.
Chris Lofton again, back-to-back possessions, burns Kentucky as a passer, not as a shooter. He did a great job of advancing that ball up the floor in the speed of the guys that were running with him. If Chris Lofton brings it up too fast or too slow, the angle's not there. His advancement of the basketball with a perfect speed, Brad, the timing dead on for 2 points for Tennessee. Beautiful play by Chris Lofton.
And maybe 3, depending on the outcome of the free throw. Jasper fouls out with 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, and leaves with 2:09 remaining. Remember, Ramel Bradley has also got 4 fouls. And if this thing should hit an overtime stanza and Kentucky's without 1 or 2 of their guards, looks pretty good for Tennessee. But Tennessee's got foul trouble too. Ramar Smith's got 4. Dane Bradshaw's got 4. Wayne Chisholm has 4.
Chris Lofton was a specialist when he got signed by Tennessee. All he could do was spot up and knock down threes. But look what he does here. He's going to drag this defense with him. And by dragging all those blue jerseys, look what happens. That's 2 possessions ago. So back-to-back plays by Tennessee using Chris Lofton as a passer. Drag that defense and finish him off with the rim, Chris Lofton.
Missed free throw by Ramar Smith. Still a 2-possession game with 2 minutes to play. 83-79 Volunteers.
Morris has not had a touch in the last 60 seconds.
He's asking for it, but Chisholm's doing a pretty good job on it. And a timeout taken by Kentucky. 1:54. Kentucky's got a couple of timeouts left. Tennessee with 3 remaining. 1:54, all that's left in the ball game. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, college basketball action continues with a doubleheader. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, Greg Oden and number 2 Ohio State take on the number 21 ranked BC Eagles. Duke and BC available in high definition on ESPN HD.
Well, Brad, if you're Tennessee, you're not even receiving votes in this week's top 25 poll. Forget about that. This is the club that almost beat Ohio State at Ohio State, and I love this graphic that we update every week. A year ago this week, Florida, UCLA, LSU, and George Mason, the teams that went to the Final Four, that's where they were ranked in this week's poll. This week, it's UCLA at the 7th spot, Air Force, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. So we get our eyes focused in on North Carolina and Wisconsin and Ohio State and UCLA. March Madness comes along. Teams that aren't even receiving votes like Tennessee can go really deep in that tournament.
Tennessee playing like they want to get there. They're looking for their 3rd straight win and their 4th in their last 5 outings. Morris inside. They had to get it to the big guy, and they did.
And where did he go? Left block.
Left block, that's right.
He lived there against Florida in the second half. He's living there again tonight.
Lofton, Smith inside, twisting and falling, and Morris with a foul. That's only the first foul on Randolph Morris with 1:29 to go.
Another quick play by a Tennessee guard. Ramar Smith just jets right around the first defender. The shadow defender doesn't come over quick enough. And Ramar Smith now gets himself to the free throw stripe with quickness, not with strength.
He's missed his last 2 from the stripe. Drains that one. 10 points for Omar. Jasper can only look on. He's gone with 5 fouls. Tennessee, 5 of their final 8 games are at home after a stretch when they were not only on the road but missed their junior All-American candidate Chris Lofton to a bad ankle. And they went 1-3 in those 4 games. Right now they're up by 1 possession here. Crawford's been the man for Kentucky. They're trying to get it to Morris, and they throw it away.
Crawford not tough enough to make the pass when he had to make the pass. That was a toughness play that Tennessee won.
Tennessee has outscored Kentucky by 18 points in the paint tonight, 46-28. But a lot of it's been their guards that have done that as well. We're under a minute.
They got their false motion working right now, shortening the game right now with under 50 to go.
Crawford on Lofton. Lofton gets a pick. Fade away, long ball. Off the mark. Here comes Jody Meeks in Kentucky with 40 seconds left. Bradley got up in the air, indecision, and turned it over. Tennessee be wise to bring it out. Lofton's thinking otherwise as he's fouled by Meeks before the move to the basket.
Tennessee gets back-to-back stops, and I talked about the importance of trying to win a championship or move up the ladder in SEC play with back-to-back stops late in this ball game. Great hustle play by Rasmar Smith to not give up on the play, Brad, and come in and bother the shooter enough that he had to give it up.
In the last 2 years at Thompson-Boling Arena, the Volunteers are 26-2. They are 30 seconds away from one of the biggest wins they've had here. And it would be another feather in that orange coat. Lofton's got 19.
Bruce Pearl got the job. He said, I will wear the orange blazer against Kentucky because I want this to become a rivalry. You have to win games every once in a while to make it a rivalry. They're 26 seconds away.
Ramel Bradley's shot was blocked by Chisholm, but now Crawford gets it back. He'll take a three. Bradshaw trying to slice in for the rebound. 16.3 left. It's a two-possession game, 86-81. Time is on Tennessee's side unless Kentucky hits a big shot here, and they're going to talk about it. Timeout, Kentucky. 86-81 here with 16 and change as we send it back to the studio and Reese Davis. Reese? Oh, you can have that stuff, huh? 86-81, 16.3 left on an orange out night in Knoxville, Tennessee. Volunteers trying to go to 6-5 in the conference. Randolph Morris, the inbounds pass, rejected. The stick back is good, though, by Sheree Thomas.
Got the press set up.
And a timeout taken by Tennessee with 12.7 left.
Great job by Kentucky to score off the out-of-bounds play and then to carry it over to quickly get their press set up. A lot of time teams will score, but then they hesitate on their press situation. A strength play by Morris, and then it cleans it up. Now watch the blue jersey. Boom. Well, they quickly sprint to the pressing position. Great job by Tubby Smith in the last timeout to say, as soon as we score, get in your man-to-man face guard press. Kentucky executes it. Tennessee has to take a timeout.
12.7 remaining. There's a timeout situation. Both teams over the limit in fouls. Possession error would be Kentucky's if it came to that. It's a three-point game. How big is this game? Take a look at the SEC East and you'll know, because Florida's alone on top. If Kentucky loses this, now most of the teams in the SEC play tomorrow night. Vanderbilt with a win would move into a second place tie with the Wildcats if they won tomorrow night. Tennessee can get in the thick of the middle to go to 6-5 if they hold on to win. And few of Knoxville's finest have ringed Thompson-Boling Arena's floor right now, anticipating a win by Tennessee. I don't know, Tennessee might have grown out of the rushing the court thing. They're pretty good right now, but maybe not. You never know. If that's on Ramel Bradley, he's gone.
Yeah, I think those top 5 teams in the SEC East would be in the tournament if it started tonight. The question mark is what team or teams can come out of the SEC West by winning some big games.
So Bradley and Jasper, 2 of the starting 3 guards for Kentucky, are gone.
It was a great play by Chris Lofton. A simple play, but Tennessee's press breaker broke down. They had no one to get open. Chris Lofton drove his man to the baseline, Brad, to free up the over-the-top pass. Just an experienced play by Chris Lofton. It's simple. Watch what Chris Lofton does. As this thing rolls, watch Chris Lofton right here. And watch what he does. He's going to drive his man up. The press breaker breaks down right there. So now look, just told me the over-top pass. That's an experienced play by a kid that came in to the Tennessee system as a specialist, now more of a complete guard. That was a simple play, but it might seal the deal for Tennessee.
About halfway through the first half, Chris Lofton had 2 points, and we were wondering what we were going to see out of him. He is 1 free throw away from being on his average, which leads the SEC at 20.6. And when he hasn't shot the ball, as Jimmy has so astutely pointed out, he makes the guys around him better with some of the passes he makes when you get too worried about number 5. And he drains the free throw. 5 straight free throws in this half. And of course, the guy that came from Maysville, Kentucky, and about the only guy as famous out of Maysville as him is George Clooney. I think it's Chris Lofton right now. I think he's got the lead on Clooney as the sexiest guy to ever come out of Maysville, because Tennessee's going to beat Kentucky regardless of what this shot does. And Jody Meeks knocks it down with 4.7 remaining in the ball game. and a 3-point game. So there's one hope left. That's Kentucky's last time out. So Chris Lofton continues to impress us. We saw him earlier this year with his career high, and then he went out a couple days later against Texas and bettered it with 35. They don't need him, Jimmy, to score 35 anymore. I think that's the good thing about Tennessee. You lose a superstar for 4 games, somebody's got to pick up the slack. Now, they didn't win the games, but some of those young guys came on, and now they've got several guys that can score.
You know what? And their resume will be highlighted with, we lost these games without Chris Lofton. The selection committee is in tune with that. Right now in these huddles, if you're Tennessee, you've got to get this ball in bounds, because what you can't afford is what happened to Florida on Saturday night against Kentucky when they couldn't get it in bounds.
Exactly.
and allowed Kentucky to have a final shot at this to win that ball game. I think Kentucky comes out and they face guard and they put pressure on. And if you're Tennessee, your press breaker has to be something other than what we showed in the last replay, Chris Lofton just making a play.
Tonight, the guys inside that I've talked about that I think are getting better every game out. Wayne Chisholm, offensively. Duke Cruz, the other freshman out of Hampton, Virginia. He's played brilliantly. Cruz has 18, 16 for Chisholm.
And both true freshmen.
169, 167.
Look at this Kentucky press. If they put a guy on Bradshaw, they're going to put Morris on Bradshaw to try to take away his vision.
Bradshaw with Morris, the 6'11" guy in his face, and immediately Joe Crawford fouls Chris Lofton. So Chris walks down. He's hit 5 straight. He's a number 3 free throw shooter in the SEC. And he's way down from a year ago when he shot 92%. He's all the way down to 83. The Michigan State game is underway. The scores in the right-hand portion of your screen. As we're about ready to wrap things up here, or should I say Chris Lofton's about ready to wrap things up here.
There, that last press breaker by Tennessee tells you what Bruce Pearl knows about his ball club. He let Dane Bradshaw take it out. He can trust him as a passer. He let Chris Lofton get himself open.
So Kentucky falls in Knoxville tonight as Tennessee has won its 3rd straight. And for the first time, Dane Bradshaw and some of the older Volunteers can celebrate because they have beaten Kentucky here in Knoxville. 89-85, and on a night that may be the best that's ever played in the SEC, saw his jersey hang from the rafters. He sees his team, his alma mater, hang on for a 4-point lead. 89-85. Up next on ESPN, more college hoops, Michigan and Michigan State. Let's go to Dave Pasch. Dave.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. Ventriloquist week just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
Couldn't be going any better.
Oh, my gosh. At Super Bowl 41, our next guest led his team to a victory and was named the most valuable player. Ladies and gentlemen, from your world champion Indianapolis Colts, number 18 in your program, number 1 in your heart, quarterback Peyton Manning. Very similar ties.
I didn't know you were going to wear it tonight.
It was very nice of you. Thank you very much. Oh, man. Tell me about your day, Super Bowl Sunday. What is that day like for you? Because I'm telling you something, it's not an easy day at home. It's a very long day. And that kickoff time, 6:30 or something,
it's later.
Is odd, isn't it? What does it do to you?
Well, I tell you, I went to bed at 11 the night before, and I slept 12 hours. Woke up at 11, felt good, felt rested. Opened up the curtains, looked out the window, saw nothing but rain, pure monsoon coming down. Really put me in a good mood. But I tried to kind of keep it as a normal routine as I could. That was kind of the advice I got all week. Just do the same things you normally do during the week.
And from who do you get advice? I mean, where do you go to get Super Bowl Sunday advice?
Well, I called some quarterbacks that have played in it. I called really 3 guys that I talked to. I talked to John Elway, who's played in 5 of them. Right. Talked to Troy Aikman, and talked to Tom Brady. And these are all guys that have won a bunch of them. And that was the best advice they gave me, was to do whatever you normally do. If you usually go out and get drunk on Monday night and go out and get drunk on Monday night, you know, which that's not what I do, but some guys do, you know. If you go out, if you study on Tuesday, Wednesday night, Thursday night, do it then. If you go out to eat on Friday night, do that. So I kept my routine as normal as I could, so I felt real comfortable all week, and the game felt pretty normal to me.
And what is that week like? It seems like it's a tedious bedlam, if there's such a combination. What is it like for you guys? Constant questions and interviews and people poking at you and stuff?
I mean, the Tuesday media day is somewhat of a circus because you get 20 minutes of serious questions, and then you get what's your end zone dance going to be, who would play you in a